So hello, and I hope you all had a lovely weekend. My Wi-Fi issues continue. I'm getting a new router. Oh, check that. So apparently it's arriving today. So on Wednesday it'll be just like seamless, and everything will be fantastic. But hopefully we get through today without me having an unstable internet connection, and everything works out okay. So we are on Monday. So just for the people in the future, just so that future people know, it is Monday, May the 18th of 2020. We are all still in lockdown. How is the future? If you happen to be watching this in the future, I hope it's good. I hope that everything is happy and that you're hugging your relatives and generally having a good time. But for just now, we are having as best a time as we can with the situation that we have. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Brian Costello from Headstrong. I don't know why I couldn't spit out there where I was from. So I run a company called Headstrong. And as I say at the beginning of all of these, I'm not going to do a big introduction because that would just take for ages, and it would take like 5 minutes out of every session for me to do that. But to cut a long story short, I've been working in mental health now for 13 years with my own business, and been involved in it for the last 17 years, and very, very excited to do these sessions now here's a question. Now I know that originally it was Women in Scottish Aquaculture. WISA, wiser. I like wiser because it sounds like wiser. WISA, WUSA, WISA. Anyway, I don't know. But we're here anyway for all of these people and the Scottish Innovation in Aquaculture Centre. Did I get that right? I think I did without even looking as well. So it has been an absolute pleasure to be here with you for the first week. And now we've got 3 more lessons to go before we reach the end of our little block. And today what we're going to go into is we're going to extend what we began talking about last week. So we started last week by talking about this idea that thoughts cause feelings, basically, and how actually the way that our brain works is that we get these little pictures inside our heads, and what happens is that we then feel off the back of those little pictures that happen inside our heads. We then spoke about the idea of the bubble, it is wiser. I was right. I thought it did. It sounded like wiser. I thought that would be a cool thing. Fantastic. Thank you, Mary. We then talked about this idea of the bubble, that your mind is like a big filter. And basically what's happening is information comes flowing into your bubble. What happens is you are like ignoring some of it, you're bending some of it, and you're just making assumptions, which is actually therefore causing the ignorings and the bendings of the information that comes in. So we can both look at exactly the same thing and have entirely different emotional responses to it. Potentially, actually, your emotional response might be no emotional response at all, or mine might be. But then again, one of us might hate it and the other one might think it's fantastic. Without going into too much detail, all we have to do, I've got a wee sticky out bit here, all we have to do at the moment is that we have to look at American politics to see that some people's bubbles are different from everybody else's. Is that kind of neutral enough, do you think? Anyway, I think you got what I was meaning. Anyway, so we all have these bubbles that happen. Now, how those bubbles are created is what we talked about on Friday. And we talked about this idea of the big bangs and these drip feeds, and how our minds are created through these experiences, the nurture versus nature debate. And in my book, just because this is the book that I follow, if you like, I'm much more of a nurture person. I think if we just assume that it's just nature, then that kind of gets in our way a little bit. That can be for me, that basically means stuff it. You know, this is the way I am. And my experience is that in all the years I've been working in this field, is that that's not actually the case. In my book, almost anything that is psychological, that is nurture-based, can be changed. Therefore, most of your personality can be altered should we want to do that. So if you're sitting there at the moment going, that actually might not be a bad idea, my personality is all over the place, then that can be changed. Confidence can be changed. Self-esteem can be changed because it's taught. We are taught our self-esteem. We are taught our confidence. Now, that's not to say that somebody who is maybe a little bit more of an introvert is all of a sudden going to be somebody who runs through a staff canteen high-fiving everybody on the way, going, "Yeah, I'm here, guys." I don't mean it like that necessarily. But what I am saying is, though, that if you're somebody who maybe finds their self-esteem or confidence a little bit low, then we can do something about that. Now, today is key to that, because if you think about it, how do you know how to do what you do? How do you know how to behave? How do you know how you are? How do you know what's good and what's bad? We talked in one of the earlier sessions, I'm sure we did anyway, about the idea of how every decision we make is made from pleasure and pain, the pull between good and bad, the pleasure, pain, positive, negative. Is your glass half full or is your glass half empty? This type of thing, although one question that nobody ever asks is, what is the cup actually full of? Because a half full cup of something that I don't like, I'd rather have your half empty cup of something that's brilliant. So ultimately, it's all about balance. I suppose what's the cup full of is definitely a follow-on question from a glass half empty, glass half full. But if you think about these types of things, then ultimately, how do you know? Now, we come into the big bangs and the drip feeds that we talked about last time. Ultimately, you've been taught. But it all happens so unconsciously. For instance, I'm going to guess that some of you may be, well, in fact, just let's keep it much more vague than I was about to do it there. Let's imagine that I took you out for dinner. And let's imagine that you come to Glasgow and I take you, in fact, you're probably more likely to take me to this restaurant, right enough, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how this all works. But there's a restaurant in Glasgow called the Regano. Now, the Regano is very famous. I have never set foot in the place. And for one reason, oh, this is risky. I don't like fish. And I don't mind fish and chips. That's fine. But I'm not a big seafood eater at all. Now, you might take me somewhere like that. This is a gross generalization. Some of you are laughing at me. You're thinking, does he think that my life just revolves around fish? Maybe for some of you, that's true. I know that you have very varied lives and some of you will still like a steak. I'm just using it as a generalized example. But basically what happens is, if we were to go for dinner today, I would you might sit with a big bowl of mussels, for instance, and sit there and go, oh, mussels, yay. I'm going to sit there and go, mussels, blah. How do I know that? How can that decision be made instantly? How can I look at a menu? How can I look at someone? How can I meet a person and know almost instantly whether or not I think they're amazing and they're a fantastic person to know, or whether I get, that funny feel you get off some people? How do you know that some people are your type of people and not? How, when you go just simplistic things like clothes shopping, can you look along a rail of clothes? I know not everybody here will love clothes shopping, but if you do, you'll look through a rail of clothes and you go, not me, not me, not me. How do you know? This is, when you start really breaking this down, it's an incredible device, your brain. And this is where we get into feelings. Let me just very quickly share my screen with you, just to show you one slide. Now, if I showed you this the other day, you wouldn't have understood it. You would have thought that it was crazy. Now, if you've not seen the other sessions that we've done, this slide might look very, very busy, but I promise, if you just look back over the other sessions that we have done, I promise that this slide will make absolute perfect sense. I can't remember if I've shown you this model before. I think I might have done in the first week, but basically, if you remember, we have this trigger, which is some sort of external information. So you see it, you hear it, you feel it, you smell it, you taste it, whatever that might be. You might smell mussels and go, oh, yumbo, whereas I'm going to smell them and go, give me a steak any day of the week. Like this is a really interesting thing. I'm sure some of you have got this in your world as well. But one of the smells, for instance, that I still remember, I'm now 47 years old. I last worked in a pub when I was 25, but I spent 10 years working in catering. And I'm sure this is different the world over. But in Scotland, the smell of a newly opened pub, so the cleaners have just been in, so it's got a smell of like beer and bleach. I know that sounds like the most bizarre thing, but it's actually one of the most comforting smells I ever smell. It just reminds me of opening pubs up, easy days when you just opened up and you had a couple of hours just when nobody was there, all of these things. So we're triggered basically by our outside world. What then happens is, as that information is coming into our bubble, we are ignoring it, we're bending it, and we're making assumptions. This then causes us to have a thought in the inside of our bubble, which we have symbolized by the lemon. And this then causes a feeling that then causes actions. And this feeling bit is what I want to speak to you about today. This bit down the bottom. Now, with all that, just recap. What we're talking about here is your batteries. What are your batteries? I'm just going to stop the share and pop myself back on the screen. Now, when I say what are your batteries, you might think that's a little bit of an odd thing to say, but ultimately, you're driven by emotions. Those feelings that drive every action is emotionally motivated. And what people ask me all the time is, in fact, some people will even say, I'm a motivational speaker. But ultimately, I can't motivate you. All I can do is hopefully chuck something out at you that helps you motivate yourself. Motivation is an emotional thing. If I say the right things, then potentially what I can do is I can stir something inside you that gets you up and gets you moving and gets you motivated. And our values are basically what those things are. Now, I don't know what organization you work for or where it is that you work or what you do. Quick drink of tea. But I am going to guarantee that for many of you, especially if you work for a relatively large organization, this doesn't really apply as much, by the way, in smaller organizations. Can I just say, I'll come to that in a little minute. But in large organizations, I'm sure that some of you have been asked to sign up to a set of corporate values. They'll say things like